looking at you. No longer little corner and like hiding in the NFC South in the Tampa area in a small market. No one knows who you are. If you make a mistake, it's okay because no one will know. And I could understand that from previous years because we didn't really have many high-profile players who'd played in the biggest stages of all. We didn't really have many in Tampa in previous years when they've struggled on prime time. Right. So I understand that argument about maybe the stage was too big, but you can't buy it now. You've got Tom Brady, who's won 6 Super Bowls. I think he can handle prime time. You've got Rob Gronkowski, who was there, like, winning the Super Bowls with him. You've got Ryan Jensen, who has played in a large market. He's played in Baltimore. He's played in a large market.
Veterans who have been playing with these guys, and it just has not been able to really, for some reason, didn't handle it. He exchanged Brick Buck Wilson. You're truly the animal. I apologize, James, but we had some Facebook issues. We're online now with Facebook, so sorry about that. Yeah, because I'm like, okay, Facebook's going live for 3 minutes. What the heck is going on? So, I don't know if you want to touch back on, but let me just roll through what I said earlier. He exchanged Brick Buck Wilson. You're truly the animal. Waiting on this edition of Facebook Live. We got comments. If you want to comment on the game, we welcome him. And if you've got questions, we'll ask you. We'll answer those questions as well. But for the Buccaneers, 38-3 was the final score, and a daggum, quite frankly, beat down at the hands of the New Orleans Saints at Raymond James Stadium. They had won 3 games in a row going into this contest, and all of a sudden hitting a brick wall, could not do anything. And as James Brick Buck Wilson joins us once again, James, these guys New Orleans Saints did not do anything really special here. I mean, they just played hard fought football, and for some reason, this Buccaneer team was not up to the challenge.
No, absolutely. And you know what? Like you brought up a really, really good point there, actually. When you said that the Saints didn't do anything special, and if you actually look at how they played the game, they didn't do anything special. They did what they did very, very. And this isn't, a Bucs fan being bitter or salty. What I would say is what the Saints did, they did very, very well. But the Bucs didn't offer them sort of any opposition whatsoever. You know what? I think what speaks volumes is the fact that the Saints stopped trying at halftime because the game was already won. Yeah. They scored that last touchdown because they had to. There was nothing else for them to do. In that situation, they either take a knee or they score the touchdown. Yeah. So you know what? This is one of those things. And as I said, sort of before we had the issues, you can fall into the trap of blaming the refs and saying, you know what, there was like holding calls that went, there was some pass interference that wasn't, and yada yada yada. As I say, it's falling into a trap. Everybody needs to own up to responsibility. And just to sort of, I won't go off on my rant again. If you caught it, great. If not,
go ahead. Please go for it.
As I say, we have veterans on this team now. We have Tom Brady, who's played in the biggest primetime game of all a few times in his career. So you know what? Sunday Night Football ain't jack to this guy. And he didn't have it. He didn't have any connection with any of his players. You know what? Was it a case of everybody trying too hard and ultimately just failing their asses off? You know what? I've heard somebody say that, and you know what? It's a good point. Got to ask the question though to Todd Bowles. What are you doing with that defense? He completely changed how the defense played, and it came back to bite him in the ass badly. one thing though, as I say, like with the Saints not doing anything overly special, this comes back to a conversation I was having actually earlier today with one of my buddies up here in Canada, who is likewise a Bucks fan and a Gators fan. So, and one of the things that he was saying is like the worry is, have the Buccaneers become one of those super teams like we saw with the Eagles, like we saw with the Browns, where ultimately they've got all the talent, but they haven't got any chemistry and they haven't got any coaching in place. One of the things I said is that chemistry will always beat isolated talent. And this is what the Bucks have to work on now. I think they tried to shoehorn Antonio Brown into the game, and I think it upset the chemistry and the rhythm of the offense. They've got a week now to actually properly practice and do things differently, and hopefully we see something different.
I gotta tell you, as the game is going on, I was thinking to myself, was it really a wise idea to bring Antonio Brown onto this ball club? Because somewhere along the line, this could be I don't want to say a cancer, but I don't know what else to call it.
Yeah, and I completely get the concerns surrounding Antonio Brown. People were even asking me before he signed if I thought it was a good idea. Obviously, being in touch with some of the people, I mean, I was one of the people that had an inkling that something more than just like rumors were going on. And so people were asking me what I thought about like Antonio Brown, and I was thinking, well, there's high probability that he's actually going to be playing in Tampa, but do I like it? And no, and it's not actually for anything to do with his play or his personal life. I've said this before, and I've said it on record, and I'm going to say it again. Antonio Brown took an absolute monster hit from Vontaze Burfict a few years back now, and Burfict absolutely stole the man's soul. AB has not been the same since then, so I think
I remember that. I remember that play a few years ago.
Yeah,
he was with the Patriots when that happened, right?
He was with the Steelers when that happened.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah, Steelers.
That's how long ago. But if you look at things going on in Antonio Brown's personal life, pre-hit and post-hit, there is a marked change. I think that he's got some severe post-concussion syndrome going on that has led to all this crazy behavior. And one of the things that I always said to people who ask me is, I said, listen, on one hand, the guy needs to possibly think that he might be in the early stages of CTE, or at least have severe post-concussion syndrome. He needs to be under the care of a doctor and stay the hell away from football for his own personal health, for his future health. Now, if he's just had like a mild post-concussion syndrome, or he's just had like a bit of headaches or something, hopefully the year off that he's had to work on his health, to rest himself, has done him wonders. He's looked back on his behavior and gone, wow, that isn't me. If he's making steps to change, you know what? Good on the man. I do actually, though, appreciate the fact that he is on a one-strike policy with the team.
And things are not over. Things are not over with Antonio Brown off the field, because there's some rape allegations that are going on.
Yeah,
all about all that. And James, it makes me wonder why would you want to bring on a cancerous person like that onto the team? I know you're hurting with the wide receivers, with Chris Godwin and his finger injury, and Mike Evans for some reason not underperforming. But I just think that's not a reason to bring Antonio Brown in and cause the cancer that it could be causing.
I'm gonna completely change tack here, and you'll understand where I'm going in a moment. Guys watching might get this reference, might not. I'm just going to say the Arizona Coyotes, NHL, hockey. Look at what they did in their draft. They drafted a player who they previously had scouted on. They knew he had a incident of bullying in his background, and they felt that actually, if we draft this kid, then what we can do is we can actually use it as a teachable moment, and we can bring this kid on and we can make him the face of like anti-bullying and why bullying is bad. Then they started to receive, after the draft, more and more information about what had actually transpired, and it turns out that this was racially motivated and was actually a lot worse than what was coming out. Additionally, the drafted player in question, who was the bully, absolutely showed zero remorse for his actions to his victim, and this caused a lot of distress to the victim and the victim's family. Ultimately, the Arizona Coyotes turned around and went, "We are renouncing our rights to this player. We don't want anything to do with him because of the effects that his actions have had."
Right.
Now, I absolutely applaud the Coyotes for what they did. I understand the reasoning behind their drafting, going, you know what, this could be a teachable moment. And this is what brings me back to Antonio Brown. There is every possibility that Antonio Brown is telling the truth and that he didn't do anything and someone's just coming after his wallet. If that is the case, then Antonio Brown has to acknowledge that he put himself in a situation where he could be exploited like that. And
to my knowledge,
yeah,
he hasn't done that, right?
Exactly. And you know what? Even if you're putting yourself in the situation, it's teachable moments. But also as well, if he admits that he has done something wrong, these can be used as teachable moments as well. Now, where I sort of jump off this bus is, you know what? I know the NFL is a business, and as everybody I've spoken to has said exactly the same thing, that, you know what, Antonio Brown was going to be signed by somebody. He presented his talent level alone, and his potential basically meant that you have an extremely talented wide receiver becoming available. We have a need at wide receiver. Guys, do you want this guy in the locker room? If you don't want him, we're not going to pick him up. If you do, we'll try and get him. And to my understanding, that conversation was actually had several times individually with players, with coaches, in groups of players. So, you know, everybody on the team was behind the decision, and it is a business. But if it transpires that he actually did these things, then it's going to be a stain on the franchise that it is going to take a long time to get rid of. I think it could ultimately cost people jobs as well.
Yeah, I mean,
If this experiment fails, this could cost people jobs.
Well, I don't know. You know, I will be honest with you. I don't know that I don't know that if it is even an experiment. James Brickbuck Wilson, usually the animal in this edition of the Animal Football Insider. If you guys want to make some comments, if you guys want to comment, please put your comments in the chat box and questions. We'll be more happy to answer questions.
I love talking to the audience.
I do too, you know, and hopefully we can get some responses here about Antonio Brown and the whole situation, because again, look, I think Antonio Brown's a very good football player. I think has a lot of talent, but the man has some personality issues. Let's face it. I mean, you know,
undeniably.
Even I have personality issues, but that's another story altogether. But, you know, the point being is this: when you have a distraction on the team, it's not gonna help you succeed in its quest to do what you need to do. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna say this here, that what we saw in the game. By the way, can you hear me? Okay.
I can hear you perfect.
Okay, great. Well, I just want to make sure. And I can hear you just fine. I don't think Sunday was just about Antonio Brown. Okay, this was a defeat team-wise. The offense played
every phase of the game.
The offense played horribly. The defense could not tackle worth a darn. The special teams just could not do anything. And I'm going to tell you what right here now. That offensive line that played Sunday night tells me that Ali Marpet is more valuable to this offensive line unit than most people give credit for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you take a look at the offensive line, and one of the big things about any offensive line is chemistry. I've had the great pleasure to speak with Dean Jensen, of course, Ryan's dad, and we've talked about offensive line work and saying that, you know what, it should be that everyone has the chemistry, that everybody moves as one unit together, and you have that cohesion. Now you're taking out one of the anchors on the blind side of the line. You're sliding a tackle in there who's not had much play time previously, especially not at guard. You know what? Yes, the chemistry of the line was massively disrupted without Ali Marpet there. Good news, obviously, coming out of the Advent Training Center, that Ali Marpet is in limited participation. He is not full participation yet.
Right, and we'll get into all that into the injury report here in just a couple of minutes. But it shows how valuable Ali Marpet was in the game. Let me give you some numbers. Tom Brady, 22 of 38, 209 yards on the game. He threw 3 interceptions on the day, and he was sacked 3 times. And and the running game did not get much better. If I can find it here, they only got 8 yards rushing on the day. This just in, boys. The Buccaneer offense has some issues.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Honestly, there's 4 rushes in that total game. 4 rushes. I'm not counting the kneel down as a rush. Come on. I hate that they count that kneel down as a rush.
Right. Okay, yeah, 4 rushes for 9 yards. Yeah, okay, you're right. Okay, yeah. I'm looking at the stats. I didn't think about the rushes, but yeah. I mean,
this is the thing. You know what? You've got talented players on the roster. When you look at that offense, you cannot deny its talent. And you know, it kind of brings up like the whole Antonio Brown thing as well. If this is Madden and you don't have to worry about actual personalities and chemistry issues, and you can just go out there and play on talent alone, this offense steamrolls every team in the league. It's ridiculous the amount of talent that is on this offense. You have one of the best, when the line is together and working cohesively, you have one of the best offensive lines in football. They've shown that they can keep Brady clean. You have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Scotty Miller, Rob Gronkowski, Cameron Brady. You've got some of the best receivers like in the game today. In the backfield, you've got Ronald Jones, who has actually shown that he wasn't the player who everyone thought he was in the first 2 years. He has come out and gone, you know what? If he can get a chance, if he can get into a rhythm, he can be the premier back on this team. And we've got another potential premier back in Leonard Fournette as well, who is a different type of runner, but you know what? He still knows how to get yards. He's got experience. There's Keyshawn Vaughn, the rookie, who's developing really well. And then you've got Shady McCoy. And pulling all this together, you have possibly the greatest quarterback to ever play the game in Tom Brady. Talent alone dictates that you aren't struggling to get a first down. You're not scoring 3 points in a game.
In the game, it's like
you're not failing to get 1 yard on 4th and goal, or 3rd and goal, or 2nd and goal.
I have been a Buck fan for well over 20 years, okay? And I'm going to tell you here tonight, James, I have seen some really pathetic games in my life, okay? And I'm going to tell you right now, given the talent of this team and their potential and what they can do, this might go down as probably the worst Buccaneer game that we have ever seen in the franchise history. I am not making
absolutely.
I'm not making up an exaggeration. I truly believe that this might have been the worst Buccaneer game that we have ever seen. Okay, and
This was a generational beatdown. In fact, just before, like, I just want to ask you a quick question here. So compare Sunday's game with the loss to Carolina in London. Which game for you is worse?
Oh, Sunday's game, definitely.
And do you know, I wholeheartedly agree with you.
Because you know why? Because you know why? Let me tell you why this game on Sunday was more horrible than
Lay it on me.
Okay, number one, I hardly saw the game because I was on vacation, so I didn't get a chance to see the whole game. But I saw bits and pieces here and there. But I know it was horrible and it's all right. But number two, let's admit that this is a team that had to travel 18 hours on a flight to go overseas play in another country. Okay, that does something too from a mental. I gotta believe that does something to you from a mental and physical standpoint. So, in my mind, and yes, I know there's questions about that, but I do have one. In my mind, I truly believe that Sunday's game was more of the worst game because they did not meet the expectations that we know that they were capable. Folks, this was not the Pittsburgh Steelers. This was not the Dallas Cowboys. This was not give me the Kansas City Chiefs, who by the way they're going to play in a couple of weeks. This was the New Orleans Saints. This is not a superpower team, which what makes this loss even more disgusting. Okay, but I'm going to throw something. I'm going to throw something out here. I'm going to stop. I'm going to put on an emergency brake and put it to full stop here for just a minute. And let's think about this for just a minute. If you look through the Buccaneers schedule, they're going to be playing for 10, 11 straight weeks before they even have a bye. Okay, so you know, is it getting to the team a little bit? Is the playing on a Thursday night, playing on a Sunday night, playing on a Monday night? They're playing different schedules. Okay, and it's ruining their traction. It's and. I know that you're going to be a team in the National Football League. You know full well that, if you're going to be a good team, you better be able to play at this kind of level. But I kind of wonder if maybe they're just a little tired after playing in these oddball games, playing, on a Sunday night, then on a Monday night, then on a, you know what I'm getting at here, I mean, I throw this. I'm going to throw it out there. I'm going to throw it to the wall and see what you think.
Yeah, no, This is one of those things that I think people kind of underappreciate, and it is the mental exhaustion side of things. People don't, I think, give that enough credit. You know what? I've played a couple of sports to a very, very high standard of competition, and it's been the same in both sports. Once you have played in an actual physical game, you are mentally tired. You might be able to do it again, but because you have that mental exhaustion, it makes it hard to process. I mean, here's something for you as well that I think is actually quite astute. In the off season, I spoke to both Jaden Mickens and Kyle Davis about how they were sort of like adjusting to life in Tampa and Florida, and both of them, without hesitation, said the heat and the humidity is a killer, and people just don't understand how crazy it is trying to run in that level of heat and humidity. And I totally get that. And Jaden went on to say, because I asked him like about what would you sort of say what mantra do you have, sort of thing, and what advice do you have for other players who might be on roster bubbles like yourself, because you've bounced around a few places? And he was like, I just make sure that I'm always ready. I am physically always ready to make that play to stand out. And you know what? I'm wondering if maybe people are getting a bit sapped and they aren't mentally able to make that play. Physically, they might be fine, but mentally, they might be exhausted.
Well, and let me throw this out there here, okay? Because they play. Here's what their schedule looks like down the road. They have a 1:00 game this coming Sunday. It's Carolina, which we'll talk about in just a minute. Then they play on a Monday night game against the LA Rams, and then they come back home and have a 4:25 home game against the Kansas City Chiefs, followed by their Week 13 bye. And then it's going to be Minnesota, Atlanta, Detroit, and then Atlanta again. But still, they're going to have at least two. The Kansas City game could very well also be a game that's going to be nationally televised. So as you look at the schedule, they're about ready to play some pretty mean football here down the stretch, and you got to wonder, when is it going to get to them? When the physicality that goes along with this. There are serious questions that need to be asked.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we keep coming back to this thing of talent. And talent-wise, the Bucs have got the talent to sweep the season now. They should potentially beat most of the teams on that schedule, and they could beat the Kansas City Chiefs if they play up to their opponents rather than down, like we have seen them do so many times. But let's be honest as well, when we've seen the Bucs, even when they've been struggling, play these superpower teams, we've seen them go to Seattle and give Seattle a hell of a game when they've been in the middle of a 4-12 season. So, when you look at the schedule and how the games are breaking down, when you sort of take it like fatigue into the factor, like mental and physical fatigue, it is entirely possible that by the time the Bucs get to play Kansas City, even if it's a nationally televised game, you could well be looking at a team that is absolutely exhausted and needs that bye week, needs to stop thinking about football. We could actually see a worse defeat than what we saw against the Saints.
Don't even. Let's not even think about that. Let's take it one game. I think the old saying cliche goes, you have to take it one game at a time. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Indeed.
I know what you're saying here. Okay, but we have to take it one game at a time. And of course, that
absolutely
next game is going to be the Carolina Panthers that the Buccaneers are going to play, which I do believe that game is going to be at Carolina, 1:00 kickoff time on Fox. It is a game in which the Buccaneers really need to get on track. Now, we talk about the injury report. Let's give you an update on what's going on here with the Buccaneers and their injuries. This is as of today. Shaq Barrett has a shoulder injury. He's been limited. Levante Davis has a knee, but he's been practicing. But the big news that came out today, Carlton Davis, starting cornerback, he did not practice today, and there's a feeling that he may not play in the game this Sunday. Chris Godwin is still nursing the finger injury. Gronkowski, he's on the injury report. That's not injury related, but he still practiced. And then the other guys that were limited today, Marpet, Steve McClendon, Scotty Miller, Sean Murphy-Bunting with a groin injury, and outside linebacker Jason Pierre-Paul with the knee injury. Now, that's on the Buccaneers. Real quick, the biggest name on the Carolina Panthers roster, Mike Davis, running back, has a toe injury. Christian McCaffrey, he has a shoulder injury, and he's not expected to play in the game this Sunday, so that's good news for the Buccaneers. Mm-hmm. And tackle Russell Okung, who is a Pro Bowl offensive lineman, he has a calf injury. There's a chance that he may not play in the game. So really and truthfully, coming into this game, the Buccaneers have has everything going for them, but it also could go against them if they let this loss on Sunday linger. You know, and
Yeah, absolutely.
and it, and as I was looking and I was watching the press conferences, I was noticing their body language. I didn't see a lot of excitement. I didn't see like, okay, we're putting this game behind us. We're getting ready for another week, and I get the feeling that this game's gonna link. This game may linger with them for some time. I hope I'm wrong by this. But I don't know.
I think on some way that it needs to linger with them, and they need to understand that actually, you know what, having your asses handed to you like that on national television in the biggest game of the year, you know what, don't just move on from it. Actually, you know what, feel the pain. Actually feel that hurt, that anger, that shame, that embarrassment, the frustration. Feel all of those emotions and then take them and use them as something positive to motivate you that isn't going to happen again, that you're not going to feel that again this season. Because, as we sort of said toward the beginning of the show, you can make as many excuses as you want. You can blame the refs. You can blame Antonio Brown. You can blame the coach. You can blame everything you want. The reality is that for the rest of time, as long as history is recorded, that game is now in the record books. The Bucks lost 38-3. You need to take that as motivation, and because there's nothing you can do about it now, you need to go forward and you need to make sure it doesn't happen again.
And hopefully they'll find a way this Sunday when they take on the Carolina Panthers. Of course, Cam Newton's no longer with Carolina. Who is the quarterback for the Panthers? I don't even know who
Teddy
it is.
Bridgewater.
Oh, that's right. Teddy Bridgewater, the former quarterback of the, I want to say Baltimore
Saints and Vikings.
Saints and Vikings.
Yeah, you're seeing him in that purple uniform. But this is the thing as well that actually really, really annoys me about when people talk down about Teddy Bridgewater. People forget that he was actually a first-round draft pick to the Minnesota Vikings.
Right.
And he was actually playing really, really well. And he was in conversations for rookie of the year, and it was like, hey, you know what, this guy's going to go to Pro Bowls. He is going to be the franchise. Oh wait, that looks like a serious knee injury. Until that knee injury, he was absolutely as advised. You know what? He took time away from the game. He rehabilitated his knee. He got strong. He got healthy. He landed on a Saints team at the perfect time. It was an absolute Cinderella moment. Because, he was able to get out there and showcase his talent. He had 5 games with the Saints whilst Drew Brees was injured, and he showcased what he could do. He won the majority of the games. So Carolina picked him up, and he has shown that he is a good quarterback. I don't think he's going to be a top-level elite quarterback in his career.
No.
But I do think he's going to be one of those ones, he's going to be sort of a top 10 quarterback for his career. He's going to have moments that, infuriate fans. I just think that's part of his game. But you know what? I think he's always going to be one of those quarterbacks that does enough to be above average. He will make the most of what's around him. If he doesn't have a special cast around him, he won't do great.
No.
If he does have some special players, though, he will be able to make the most of them and get wins.
And that's what makes it so frustrating with the loss on Sunday is the fact that you have all this talent around you, all this ability to make something happen, and they just could not do it. And you know what? As we were talking here, there's something that struck me. To add insult to injury, late in the game, the Saints brought in Jameis Winston to play. I mean, come on. I think at some point maybe they were. I'm surprised they didn't bring him in sooner into the contest. But I mean, I kind of found it kind of insulting that they brought him to the game. So
I've got 2 theories about that. The first one is that's just Sean Payton Do you expect anything less than from Sean Payton? He has shown throughout his career that yes, he is a amazingly talented coach. But you know what?
Not only Sean Payton, a very talented coach. I think he's an outstanding person. I have no beef. I have no beef. But believe it or not, I have no beef with what he did. I really don't. You know. But it's just you bring him right into the game. Come on.
But you know what? I can even go back as far as people from, and now this is going to be a little bit of golden trivia for your viewers here. I can go back as far as people from the Leicester Panthers. That's Leicester, UK, by the way, where Sean Payton was a quarterback of the Leicester Panthers American football team.
Really?
And absolutely. I'm not sure if he still puts that on his resume, but you know what? The Britball community knows. And you know what? People would say that he was one of those people who just understood the game on a level that people just didn't understand. On the flip side of that, he knew he was brilliant and he was a tiny bit arrogant with it. And I think, you know what? Is that tiny bit of arrogance a bad thing? It obviously hasn't been, as it's propelled him and given him this persona of, you know what? I am one of the best coaches that has ever coached in the NFL. And my legacy will prove it. And he's, you know, his legacy is proving that he is by far one of the most successful coaches, certainly in New Orleans history. But you know what, when he put Jameis in the game, and you know what, he just rubbed it a little bit extra into the faces of the Bucs. You know what, it is what it is. If you want to complain about it, then you know what, the players should have done their job.
Here's the thing. I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying, you know, in a way, adding insult.
Yeah, no,
you know what
I totally
saying?
Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from, Hijo. And my comment.
I thought it was kind of funny that he did that, and it's all good. I really have no problem. I really have no problem with that. You know, so
yeah. Oh, you know what though? My comments kind of directed at a lot of people who were going absolutely ballistic about it, and it's like, you know what? If the players and the coaches did their job, and Jameis is coming in to kneel out the game, it's to come out and shake hands with some of his old friends. That's the only reason why Jameis is coming on. But you know what? He gets to sort of duck into the camera and eat that W. And you know what? Because
I saw that and I'm like, oh God, really? Are you serious? I mean, come on.
You know, I think the guy, you know, you can look at this as one of two ways. You can either say it was like, oh, that was like Bush League, it was low class. But you know what? Ask yourself, if you think that it was Bush League and low class and all the negative things that you say about it, ask yourself, is it just because you're salty that Jameis did it? Or like, are you genuinely offended by what he did? Now, I know 99% of the people answering that.
For me, I would go with the first. I would go with the first because it was Jameis. And he did it, so you know.
Yeah, and a lot of people are salty about it, but you know what? If I'm Jameis Winston, and it's like literally, he became a national meme for eating a W. It became one of like the biggest shame points on his career outside of his interceptions. And you know what? He took the opportunity to at Raymond James after a big decisive win against his former team. He went out, he ate that W. And you know what, Jameis? Enjoy it. That was your Super Bowl.
I think there's a lot. I think you're right about that, and we're going to find out this Sunday if they can take it on this Sunday against Carolina. Hey, we only got about 15, 20 minutes. Hang with me. Let's talk about the Gators, if you don't mind. Okay?
Absolutely. This is why I turned up. You know what? Like, I've spent so much time talking about the Bucs. I cannot wait to talk about the Gators.
Okay.
I cannot wait.
I tell you what. Grab something to drink real quick, and I'm going to be back with you in just a minute. So, our conversation now, we've talked about the doom and gloom. Let's talk about the joy and the excitement of what happened Saturday afternoon in Jacksonville, known as the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. However, it just wasn't to be because of everything that's happened with COVID. So you didn't have that excitement building around the stadium. You didn't have the large field, the large crowds. I believe only 18,000 fans, something like that, made its way into Jacksonville, into the Gator Bowl, or TIA Stadium, as they like to call it. But you know what? For the Florida Gators, they have not won in over 3 years. And Saturday afternoon, Kyle Trask and company put on a show that was unbelievable. 44-28 was the final score in the game as the Florida Gators improved its record to 4-1 on the year. Now, in the game for Kyle Trask, he threw for, if I can find his stats, I had his stats here. What happened to it? Hang on, guys. I got his stats here somewhere. Hang on, because great, Joe. Let's see here. Okay, box score. Here we go. Okay, give me just a moment, because Trask, he had just an outstanding game on the afternoon. Let me find it here. Oh, come on, people. See, this is what happens individually. Here we go. Kyle Trask, he had another amazing game. 30 of 43 for 474 yards on the day, threw another 4 touchdowns on the day, had 1 interception on the afternoon. And James, as we come back to you once again, man, if you saw I'm sure you saw the game, and I'm just offended that Kyle Trask is not being named for Heisman Trophy consideration.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that I kind of wanted to talk to you about as well. But you know what? I don't know. What would you say is the reason that Trask isn't in the Heisman conversation? Because if you break down his game film, tell me what else he can do. He has the touch on his pass. He has the strength, the arm strength.
Oh yeah.
He has the field awareness.
Yeah, I mean, the guy. The 474 yards in the game, by the way, was the second highest total in school history, and just 8 yards shy of Tim Tebow's 482 yards passing that he set in the 2010 Orange Bowl. Let's see, and he joined Danny Wolford and Shane Matthews as the only Gators to throw 4 touchdown passes against Georgia. I mean, this guy is incredible. He plays against quality talent in the SEC, and yet they still don't give him the accolades that he deserves.
Yeah, and this is one of the things as well, especially surrounding Trask, as I say, it's a little bit frustrating, because I know Florida Gator quarterbacks now are developing a reputation as looking great in the NCAA, but not being able to play at all in the NFL. Now, if you actually go back and look at some of those quarterbacks, let's go back and look at Tim Tebow. I was amazed, and I know a lot of Gator fans that were absolutely amazed when Tebow was taken in the first round by Denver, because we all sort of looked at each other and were like, he's not a pro quarterback. Are they going to are they going to change his position? Because he's already said that he's going to be a quarterback in the NFL. But
look! I knew that Tim Tebow would never make it into the NFL, because he was not a good. I mean, Tim was a great quarterback in college, but he just didn't have, for some reason, just did not have that ability as a quarterback to take his game to the next level. Yeah, he did some good things early on, but he just wasn't that consistent, And for Trask now, and I'm not saying Trask is going to be a great player in the NFL, and quite frankly, right now, I really don't care, because now
he's a great Gator quarterback.
Because right now I'm just interested in what this kid is doing right now at the University of Florida. As I said, and here's another interesting point, because I'm reading some notes here from the game. The 44 points that the Gators scored was the third highest total that Georgia has surrendered since Kirby Smart took over in 2016. I mean, these guys have been playing so well together. By the way, another thing about Trask, 22 passing touchdowns this season. It ties Joe Burrow of LSU for second most passing touchdowns in SEC history. I mean, the guys are just racking up accolades after accolades. And as you see how well this Florida Gator team is playing, I don't know. I don't know what the ceiling can be for this team. Now, you and I have not spoken in quite a while, and since that time frame, this team has undergone a lot. They had some COVID issues. They had canceled the LSU game. That game's going to be played later on in the season. They lost to a Texas A&M team that really and truthfully they never should have
not have lost to,
because and let's be honest, because they didn't have the players on the defense and the cornerback position that they needed back there to compete, and it costed them. Now Todd Grantham and his defense, they're starting to come around. They're starting to play the kind of defense that they are capable of playing. My question becomes: Can they develop themselves to get into that top 5, that top 4, and get to the college football playoffs? I don't know.
It seems to be like the theme of the show is like talent and potential. I think when you look at let's have a look at. We'll bring up the Gators defense in a moment. Let's have a look at the offense. When you look at the fact that Trask is making good decisions, he's had plays designed around his strengths and to sort of hide potential weaknesses in his game. The wide receivers, they look absolutely brilliant this year. They're getting separation. Not too many issues with drops.
I love Kyle Pitts. I love the way this guy plays the game. This guy is going to be a first round pick, James. I have no question in my mind about it.
Oh yeah, I mean when you look at him and Malik Davis, I believe Davis went 100 yards on Saturday.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you've got it. It's not often that a program has a lot of available weapons through the air, all on one field. Typically, you have a good receiver and a great receiver. Right now, with Pitts and with Davis on the field, you do have like 2 potential number 1 receivers, and as you say, both of these players potentially could go very, very high in the draft when you just look at the measurables and you look at the game tape and the potential that they've got. Now, the running situation intrigues me actually because it's very much running back by committee in the Gators backfield at the moment. And you know what? I like it because everyone is bringing something a little bit different to the table. Everyone's staying fresh. We've seen what's happened. Like when Maya used to have the feature bell cow, and we saw when that happened, it didn't go well. But as soon as you start giving the backs more rest, getting more guys involved in the running game, it creates a lot of problems for the other team. It creates matchup problems. And as I say, I mean, I'm going to have to just check this now.
And while you're checking that real quick, Kyle Pitts
4 players had runs for positive yards. So 4 different players had like 5 carries or more. And when you look at the offensive production, you know what? I know Trask threw the ball over 40 times, but when the Georgia defense is giving you what they were giving, you can't not throw the football. And frankly, after the first quarter, I did not see this game coming. I loved it, but I didn't see it coming.
Damian Pierce, 15 carries for 52 yards, and he scored a touchdown. Naquan Wright had 5 carries for 17 yards. Let's see. Malik Davis caught 5 balls for 100 yards. Kyle Pitts had a touchdown. Kevin Gamble had a touchdown. Kadarius Toney, and I'm surprised that Georgia did a very good job in shutting down Kadarius Toney in the process.
I mean, okay, so you look at he was targeted 10 times in that game, and he caught 7 of those passes for 42 yards, average 6 yards a reception. For Toney, that's a bad game. That's not really anything special that he's done there. But you know what I do like about that, and it's summed up perfectly by the point that you made. Georgia was all over Toney at times like white on rice. But you know what? He was still targeted 10 times and he was still completed 7 times. I will always take a 70% completion ratio to a wide receiver. You know, if he's only getting you 5 yards of completion, I'll take it. Okay? I've got other guys. I've got Pitts, I've got Davis, I've got many other guys who can give me the long threat to stretch the field. But you know what? If Toney's coming down with the ball each time that he's being targeted, or the majority of times, you know, he's got my trust. If I need to throw to a guy and I think he's going to be open, I'm going to throw to it because I trust him to come down with the football.
Okay, I want to show the people something here. Okay, I want to give you a better sense of humor here. Now, let's set the backdrop for this. There's this guy. I don't know if you're on Twitter a lot, but there's this guy named Ray UGA. Okay, and I don't know why, but this guy is a little bit crazy. Okay, well, recently he was talking about Georgia's quarterback Stetson Bennett. Okay. And now to just give an idea how crazy this is what he had to say about Stetson Bennett and the Georgia quarterback. It's about 2 minutes, but it's really, I guarantee you, James, it is funny as all get out. Just take a listen. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay.
Fast for last.
Hang on.
Rise above hate before hate rises above you. My name is Ray EGA, and I'm pissed off right now. This is, in fact, the second day of November 2020. I have so much I have to unleash. I have to get off my chest right here, right now. So all you dog fans out there listening, open your ears wide and listen closely. JT Daniels, number 18, stellar quarterback, ready to go. Stetson Bennett, the premier signal caller in the heart of Athens today. Why? Because he has command. He has control of that offense. Coach Monken likes what he's doing. He has the repetition. He's healthy. He's making good throws down the field. Why am I the top of this damn industry? Ask yourself this. Because I keep it authentic. I keep it real. I keep it 100 for each and every one of you. I am the only one in the world today that will shoot a promo on how good Stetson Bennett really is. He's the real deal. And he's the starting quarterback in Athens for a reason. I am dead serious.
Okay. I'm gonna say that's enough there because what I would tell you, Stetson Bennett on the day for the Florida Gators when he played for the Georgia Bulldogs, 5 of 16, one touchdown, 1 INT. This guy is so crazy. I mean, you really want to follow him just to have a terrific laugh. I mean,
I might actually give him a follow. But yeah, you know what? It's hard to, like it would be hard to judge Brady on Sunday's game for a career. I think it's hard to judge Stetson Bennett for Saturday's game because, that first quarter, honestly, as I say, within a couple of minutes, we were down 14-0. It looked like it was going to be yet another beatdown, and the wait to beat Georgia goes on. It's like, we've got the better team, we've got the better coaching. What else do we need? Has anybody got a chicken or a goat that we can sacrifice? Because we're going to have to start resorting to this. But then all of a sudden, everything changed, and
Yeah.
Bennett didn't have anywhere to put the football. I mean, when you look at the stats that they actually had here, you know what? I'm going to give kudos to Zamir White, the running back, went over 100 yards.
Yes.
He was the Georgia Bulldogs on Saturday.
Mm. Yeah,
because he was not getting any help anywhere else.
And look, Georgia's a very good football team. And by the way, they've lost 2 games in a row, so they're out of the running for the national championship. So we can put the rest as to Georgia going to postseason bowl. But what I was really impressed is how Dan Mullen really stepped up, really did a great job and keeping the guys focused on the prize, despite all the side things with COVID and everything that was going on, and the distractions about filling the swamp with the full capacity, knowing that COVID was going on and everything. And despite all that, these guys were able to be laser focused on their opponents. I don't know if you saw the game last week. Did you see the game last week? Game?
No, I've only seen the Georgia game recently. I missed
So
the previous game.
Okay. So you might have heard about it, where it was nearly halftime. I forget who they were playing against. I don't remember. Oh no, it's against Missouri. They're playing against Missouri, and they were going into halftime. Trask throws a pass, and there was a dirty hit. And Dan Mullen ran out on the field. A scuffle occurred. It caused a couple of players to be suspended for the second half of the game.
Yeah.
And then the first half of the Georgia game. You know what I'm talking about. But yet you're still able to focus and do the job at hand. And I think that's accredited to Dan Mullen and the job that he does.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people kind of sleep on Dan Mullen really as an NCAA coach. Yeah, you know what? He's tried to do it at a higher level and hasn't been able to. But you know what? Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, Chip Kelly, people there are a lot of people whose coaching style is just better suited to college football. And you know what? Some of them make more than their NFL counterparts anyway. So, if you're doing a good job, if it is not broken, then fix it. And, I as I say, I didn't see the game, and it was like, but as soon as you brought up, obviously, the brawling incident, I knew exactly what you're saying, because obviously I've seen it on repeat the last week leading up to the game. Now, I've heard a lot of people actually who've sort of been critical of Dan Mullen for getting involved in that, but at the end of I would much rather have a head coach who actually has some, some skin in the game. Something, he deeply cares about these players. He deeply cares about the program. And you know what? Does Dan Mullen wish that he could have taken back some of the things he did and said, yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Who hasn't been in a situation where, they've reacted in the heat of the moment and then they've looked back at it and gone, oh, yeah, probably shouldn't have done that. But you know what? He's human. And he cares about these people.
And I've had the honor and the pleasure. Last year the Gators went to Missouri to take on the Missouri Tigers, and I went to that game. And I went over a day early to meet with the team and the players. Dan Mullen just as nice as all get out. His wife, she is such an angel. And I even got a chance to meet Kyle Trask's mom, and she's
cool.
She is a very sweet and wonderful lady, and so proud of her son. She travels to all the games regardless of whether they're home or away. Speaking of quarterbacks, the Gators now will take on Arkansas this coming Saturday, and for the Arkansas Razorbacks, the Gators are going to have a familiar player at hand by the guy by the name of Felipe Franks, who used to play at the Florida Gators. And he left because he was a senior, and he was able to get an extra year, and he transferred to Arkansas. But, the great job with the Arkansas Razorbacks. And if you know Felipe Franks, you want to cheer for the guy,
Yeah, and this is the thing. A lot of people sort of like. I think like if you don't really follow a lot of college football, you might miss just how often players move from program to program to sort of maximize their playing time, to maximize their exposure. Because for a lot of people, like a lot of kids going to college and playing football, this is, it's just a game for them. It's a bit of fun. But for some people, this is actually a business that they're starting. And, are the Razorbacks going to pose any problems to the Gators? I'm going to say no. I hope I'm not made to eat these words, and I'm going to just touch some wood. But this should actually be quite a convincing victory for Florida.
Yeah,
but you know what?
Yeah, and I agree with you. After coming off the Gator win, I think we're going to see. I don't think this is going to be a great game in terms of if you're looking for it to be close. I think this could be a Gator blowout, but for some reason I want Felipe Franks to do very well. So
yeah, and this is the sort of the thing. It's, I mean, the Razorbacks are 3-3 on the season. They've
their coach has COVID. So
and they've got issues with depth. They've got as you say, like the coach has got COVID. They've got all hands on deck scrambling to the wheel. It's, Arkansas are not in a position to play the Florida Gators right at this time with the form that the Gators are in. Now, do you know what? Do I hope Franks has a good game personally for himself within the chaos? Yeah, you know what? I hope he's like that British commander and Pirates of the Caribbean, serenely walking down the stairs as the entire ship blows up.
I really would like to see it happen. We got about a minute. We got about a minute left here. So we've talked about the Buccaneers. We've talked about the Florida Gators and what we expect. Anything that you think as we sign off here? Anything else that we should be looking at during the course of this weekend coming up?
Okay, so this is gonna be my sort of hot take section then. Okay, sticking with the Gators. The Gators are going to make a push to the national championship. I honestly think that we are going to see the Gators pushing their way back there. Yeah. When you look at the schedule that they've got, they don't really play anyone of any real significance who's going to cause them any problems.
Well, let's keep one thing in mind. They do not play. I wish I had time to bring up their schedule, but
I've got it right here actually.
Okay. So they play Arkansas,
then Vanderbilt, and then Kentucky.
Then they got LSU.
They've got Tennessee first.
No. Is it Tennessee first or is it LSU first?
Yeah, it's Tennessee on the 5th and then LSU on the 12th.
Okay. Then follow that up with the SEC championship. So
exactly.
Tennessee is playing some pretty good ball. So I think I would keep my eye out on Tennessee as we get closer. So
absolutely.
I don't know.
And this is what I think is going to happen. As I say, they don't play over the next 3 games. They don't play anyone of any real significance. They're going to be able to rotate the team, move the depth through. They're not going to see a great drop of performance, but they're going to keep guys fresh. Then when it comes to the Tennessee game and then the LSU game, they're going to be rested. They're going to be ready. I think, winning out the season, I think sees them definitely in the conversation and definitely in the ballpark for the national championship. That's my Florida Gators hot take. My Tampa Bay Buccaneers hot take is going to be that the Bucs are going to learn from this loss. It's going to sting and it's going to hurt, and it is going to hurt all the way to the Kansas City game. Now, I mentioned earlier, obviously, a little bit of stress going on there, but I think they'll overcome it. This is a winning record team. Playoffs are coming.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game come Sunday. Hey, James, thank you so much for joining me tonight. And as we get ready to sign off,
Always a pleasure, Animal. It's
Hey,
always a pleasure.
and thank you so very much for joining me. Guys, thank you for joining me. We'll be back on next week, 7:30 Central Time. Maybe we'll get James again. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Dripping in orange and blue. Dripping in orange and blue. Dripping in orange and blue. I'm dripping in orange and blue. Dripping in orange and blue. Dripping in orange and blue. I'm dripping in orange and blue. Myself, we trip.